Good afternoon, everybody. It is Meteorologist 812 Forecast here, and welcome back to the update, guys. As you can tell, we are going to be looking at the another U.S. forecast here. It's not going to be an update on the tropics since we've already done it too. Right, I'm going to be doing an update on the tropics tomorrow, unless there's something else that's a bigger deal. But tomorrow I'll be posting on the tropics. But right now, I'll be focusing on the U.S. forecast right here on a cold front. We're going to have a lot of cold fronts coming into the United States to bring in fall-like temperatures. It was actually very, very chilly. It's actually somewhat cold here in North Georgia. We saw 64 this morning. I know it's like, that's pretty warm. Well, it was very, very cold, and it's also very, very windy. So it honestly feels like September already here. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of 60s and 40s for areas in the northern United States. So guys, if you guys want to know what is to come with these cold fronts, when will this heat come back, and just in generally what to expect in the next couple of days, that all come right up. So we are going to be looking at the National Weather Service right now, and this is basically what to look at for the active alerts. So we actually do have some severe weather issues out here for the Dakotas. I was thinking about posting for severe weather, but it's not really that bad. It's only a slight chance. So again, we have severe thunderstorm watches in effect for North Dakota and South Dakota, and we also have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for the panhandle of Florida, and also for North Dakota, we have severe thunderstorm warnings. We also do have some flood warnings in effect for parts of Nebraska, Missouri, and Kansas. And again, since the severe weather is going to bring in a lot of rain that they're not used to in August, so that's why we're going to have a lot more rain than usual in those areas. We also have flash flood watches in effect for Louisiana, Louisiana and Mississippi. We do have a lot of rain showers coming in for that invest yesterday, but again, it's not a disturbance anymore, but it will be bringing a lot of rain for the next couple of days. We also do have flash flood warnings in effect for western Louisiana, in effect for the system too. We also have heat advisories becoming widespread too. We are having some heat issues in for the west coast, and also for the south central, as much of the country here will have cold, and then we'll start to see the warmer air start to come back into the west. And then we also have excessive heat watches for Texas and Oregon and California. That's basically all we're seeing here. And then we have, again, those red flag warnings. Now, I'm just going to be quickly looking at the radar for the next 10 days. This is going to be part of the, just to see if you guys need to cancel any plans, need to change plans to another day, to see exactly what to expect, if your kid has any sports or anything. So again, we do have some rain showers from that system here that'll bring in very heavy rain for the south central. Again, for Louisiana, bringing a lot of rain, and actually going to bring in a lot of rain for the southeast too. On Tuesday, we'll have very severe weather. Very strong storms. I already have an 80% chance on Tuesday for some strong storms, and that'll become all very widespread all the way into Michigan. We can have severe weather. As we continue on the 30th, we shouldn't have too much rain, but the 31st, we could actually have severe weather outbreak here for the plains in the Midwest. It looks like pretty severe weather to come in, and then we have some rain, some tropical downpours out there into the Gulf of Mexico. We could have a system that could bring in some issues. It looks like we have a system though in the Gulf of Mexico on the 6th of September, so we might have a little issue. And based on it, we could have a system that makes landfall in Houston. But again, it's very far out to see what it is. And then we also have some rain out there for the western part of the country. So that's basically what a general outlook of what we're seeing the next 10 days on radar-wise. Now we're going to be looking at the 6 to 10 day outlook for temperature-wise. We are going to be seeing, again, this cold front coming in to bring in very cold air. This is basically what we're going to be talking about, the cold air and also the very warm air into the west. So these are going to be the two topics we're going to be focusing on, the cold air in the east and the warm in the west. So we are seeing the coldest conditions right here in this third layer. We are only seeing the third layer, which is right here. We're not getting that cold. A couple of days ago we were over here, but now we went down to the third layer because we are seeing this cold air start to become a little bit warmer, but we could see about maybe 5 to 6 degrees below average in these areas for Iowa, Missouri, and then again we'll be seeing these slightly below average temperatures go all the way from Louisiana all the way to North Dakota. We are going to be seeing a bit of a warm up though for the East Coast for sure. We'll be seeing a warm up especially for the New England area, you guys will be seeing possibly at some points 3 to 4 degrees above average, and then we'll have some cooler conditions for Florida and Texas. Again, we are still gonna have above average temperatures, but it was pretty warm last week, and then we're gonna have this extreme heat for the west now with this ridge. Which we are seeing this ridge again that will be keeping the cold air like this. So that where you see that that average in the gray, that's where that ridge line is, and that'll keep this warm air here and keep this cold air here. That's kind of how it works, really. And then again, we have this warm air continuing to stay in the west here. It's going to be very, very hot. At least it's starting to cool down average wise. But again, as the overday comes, the overday heating starts to begin. And then we have the warmest conditions right here for parts of Arizona all the way to Oregon. We can see possibly 6 to 8 degrees above average. It's going to be very, very warm. Now we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, and as you can see, the heat starts to cool down and the cool starts to warm up a little bit. So we're gonna start to get a bit closer to near normal temperatures for these areas. So if you're above average, you'll start to see a bit closer to average, and if you're below average, you'll start to see a bit more average. So again, we will be seeing these below average temperatures for the northern part of the Midwest here, and then we'll be seeing the coldest conditions right here for northern Wisconsin, the Dakotas, and Minnesota. So we're only going to maybe about 1 to 2 degrees below average. Really, it's not going to be that big of a difference based on average. It's not going to be super cold like the 6 to 10 days. Again, we are seeing this warm up start to come in for parts of the south. We do see this warmth start to become more widespread for the south central and the southeast, but it does cool down. And again, we have the third layer. As you can tell, we were over here, and now we're in the third layer, so it is starting to cool down a little bit. And then we are seeing some bit warmer temperatures become widespread from coast to coast, all the way from Maine to Washington is where we'll be seeing some warmth. Again, if you are in any layer this way, you'll be above average, and in any layer this way, you'll be below average. Now that we looked at that, let's look at now the 2-meter temperature outlook here. So again, today we are going to be seeing below average temperatures for much of Minnesota, Missouri, even the southeast. Again, it's going to be very chilly for these areas in the southeast. We are seeing up to possibly 6 to 9 degrees below average for these areas. We'll be seeing below average, especially also Alabama. You guys will be enjoying that. So now as we continue on the next couple of days, we'll have a cold front that's coming in from Canada, another one that will be coming in and bringing some very cold air. It's going to dip down again. So we have cold front after cold front after cold front again. These cold fronts, we've seen a pattern, don't last too long. But look at this heat right here. Look at this heat. That's about possibly 16 to 18 degrees above average. We're going to see again the warm air start to become more widespread into the southwest too, as in the plains, they're enjoying this cool off. As we continue on, this will be actually now the August 31st. We see some cooler air continue to bring in some nice fall conditions for much of the Midwest, and then we have summer conditions out here for the West. When I mean by fall or summer conditions, I mean very, very, very warm. Like, I know it's gonna if I say summer, it sounds like average. But as we continue on September 4th, this heat will get worse and worse for the West. It's actually going to get a lot worse for now. For California, we'll be seeing about 15 degrees above average. And then we have some more heat because we'll start to see this heat become more widespread now in the east, especially the northeast. And then it's looking like we could have a very, very warm first couple of days of September. As you can see, we're going to see very, very warm conditions. As you can tell, Iowa and parts of Wisconsin and Kansas. You guys can see almost 12 degrees above average. We'll have some slightly cooler conditions on, but it won't be a big cold front like we saw like this. Won't see that yet until the second week of September, really. And then we'll see widespread warmth for much of the country. Again, it's going to be very warm maybe first week of September, but as we continue, we actually see a huge cold front. This one's looking very promising. It is going to bring very, very cold conditions for the east, and again, for the west, we'll be seeing very, very warm conditions. Again, this is going to be fall-like, and this is going to be extremely hot, and it can actually bring in a huge cool down for the south and the south central, which is very needed over here. We're going to see Arkansas, Louisiana, widespread 8 to 12 degrees below average. And then the west, you guys are just going to continue to see above average conditions here. In the east, you're seeing cold fronts coming on and off, but in the west, you're just seeing that heat continue to fire up. Again, this is the European model now, and today we again are seeing below average temperatures for the areas in the northeast. Also, the mid-Atlantic will be seeing about 7 degrees below average today. Again, we have this warm air into the west. As we continue the next 2 days, again, the heat will get a lot worse for the south, west, and to the west, and the cold front does come in. This is the second cold front. This is not the cold front we're seeing right now. It'll be a second one that will bring about 9 degrees below average. That won't be very, very short. And then about a day later, we have another cold front. This one looking promising. But look at these temperatures for the west. Again, it's going to be, this cold front will be pushing the warmer air, because this cold air is going to be directly behind it. That's going to be forcing this warm air to push off. So that's why slightly every single day we'll see some more cold air here. And again, this warm air will start to follow the cold air, though. It's a very weird pattern, but which is somewhat how we're normal. It's normal. And then we see about 13 degrees below average for areas in Canada, while we're seeing only about 5 to 6 degrees below average. And then we have actually 15 degrees above average in Montana. So it's going to be very hot. And as we go on September 4th, that's when we have that heat getting very crazy for the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. And then we have that cool air starting to come a bit more widespread into the west. But again, we have that other very warm air here. We have more warm air right here into Canada that will start to push here. And then that will have like this ridge form like this, and that will keep the cold air once it comes. So again, it's just going to be a very complicated U.S. pattern here. We're going to have multiple cold fronts and multiple warm fronts. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.